least I can think 3 memoirs that exist. And so nonfiction, even if I liked nonfiction, was not going to be my path. There was no point in that. People who've been through it had already done that. But even just researching that era was so difficult. And I mentioned that book, Devil in the Grove. Thurgood, it's by Gilbert King and Monocular Surprise. I highly recommend it. That's about the same time as my story takes place, which is 1950. I chose 1950 because of the work with my mother. That was when she was coming of age, so I know that era a lot better. I tried 1930, 37, it didn't feel right. So I shifted it to 1950, and I was like, okay, now I know where we are. But even so, every hour I spent, I would cry reading these books about these boys and what they suffered. And these were the white survivors. I can only imagine what the black survivors were going through. But very tellingly, it's very difficult to find a black survivor who would talk about it. It's just not, I think for some of these white families, especially the guy who led the campaign, he was a means somewhat, so he had the time and energy to put into solving the mystery of what happened to his brother that his mother never recovered from, basically. And he's a much older man now, so he's still on this crusade, and he had the means to do this. And also did not feel, I guess, that he would be putting himself in danger to do this. And I think that's what speaks to this silence, because it's ingrained, even in Florida, even these generations, people are sort of trained that if some kind of tragedy rains down on you because of the system, there's really nothing you can do about it, and it's probably smarter not to say anything about it. And I've really run into that. So a lot of the books are by white survivors, but the white survivors have memories of things that happened to black kids there. Like one white survivor is just very upset about the day. He saw a child thrown into an industrial dryer at his place and never saw the kid again, right? And he's assuming maybe he died, I don't know, but they were horrific things. There was sexual abuse. There was a whipping shed called the White House where they sent the boys. And I blogged about it as I was working, and I excerpted my novel, and this is something I advise a lot of my writing students and some of you who are writers toward me on a long work. I wasn't expecting it to take this long, but it's taking a while. And part of the research is so horrible. I didn't like being in 1950. There were bright, shiny new pennies, and when TV and film projects came along, and short stories are fun to write too, so I've been working on a lot of other stuff that is in this novel. But in the meantime, I bit off a piece of it that had its own arc, right? It's just like, it has its own little epiphany at the end. And I sold it to the Boston Review as a short story called The Reformatory. So it's the same, and it's online, by the way. It's available online if you want to read it, which is the moment that got me over the mountain. So when you read this, this is the excerpt that I could finally breathe after I wrote it, because I'd been dreading this part from the beginning. And once I was past it, I could just go to sort of the open air of now figuring out, okay, what are we going to do to get the hell out of here now? What are we going to do? And it's haunted, but it's really a monster story. And the monster is the system, and also the warden.
And so how would kids end up at the school? What channels got them there?
Historically, it was open from about 1900. Sometimes you just had to be an orphan to end up there, okay? But the discipline was ridiculous. Even in the beginning, like the 20s and 30s, they would have report after report about, oh, you've got kids in shackles, or all this kind of stuff. So they tried over the years to fancy it up and make it more like a school and this kind of stuff. But you could get some there for truancy, which is still criminalized in a lot of places. You could get some there for being an orphan, for being a runaway, and for whatever petty crimes, up to probably violent crimes. I don't know why my great uncle was sent there. The last time I read the report, they identified a white kid named Robert Stevens, but I think they might have misidentified him. And if he is the same Robert Stevens, then it was for joyriding or something like that.
So, do you feel that it took longer because of that personal connection also? Did you feel a responsibility to the family history?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, There was an incident that my mother didn't want to put in our book that I was like, how can you not put this in the book? It was about how her was too afraid to testify on behalf of his son who was on trial for his life. And how his wife talked him out of going because of his community standing and all this. And believe me, that rolled down the mountain in terms of her attitude toward him and her attitude toward men and the whole thing. And it was, I wrote a story called Trial Day, which is in Go Summer, to fix that, right? So it's the same idea. I want to fix it. I want to fix it in the fiction. But I also was raising a son who, for a long time, was about the same age as this kid. And that made it really, really hard to see someone as young as my son in this situation. Now he's 50, and I have a little more distance from him. He could take it now. But at 12, it would be so much harder. And I have to be honest, there are a lot of times I have thought, well, maybe this novel is taking you so long to write because you really don't want to write it. You don't really have to, you know. You really don't have to write it. And I have had that happen once since I've been published. I started a novel and I just fell out of love after 100 pages. I was like, and so that is a thing. And I think it's okay for that to be a thing. I think that what's worse is when you don't recognize it soon enough. but then I see a picture of Tamir Rice, the 12-year-old boy who was killed in Cleveland, or, you know, whatever new child has been hurt in the system. And really the migrant camps, too, is always in my ear now, you know. I didn't even listen to the recording, but I'm haunted by the idea of what that recording must have sounded like. It was going around social media of what grief and stark terror sound like when you separate children from their parents. So there's always some reason that I think it's really important for people to read a book, even if it's set in 1950, that is about a system that is deeply, deeply flawed. And how even seemingly well-meaning people, from the social worker to the secretary to the deputy, I mean, none of them are complete assholes along the way, but the system is an asshole. So what do you do with that?
And do you find that like writing it in a different period or writing it in the genre of horror makes it a little easier to access?
The horror part helps. The ghosts are the fun part, right? It's like, this is one of those stories where the supernatural element, and you'll see as you read the short story, the reformatory, that the awareness that there is something beyond this is a hopeful thing for my protagonist. Even if ghosts are scary, because like, yeah, look, ghosts are scary, but they're not as scary as this whipping shed. They're not as scary as Boot Hill, which is what they call the cemetery where they buried. They're like 55 or more, probably. Who knows? I don't think they even really know how many bodies were buried at this reformatory cemetery. They wouldn't call the families. They would just bury kids. You get a letter. So, and one weird story I heard was a family demanded to have the body sent to them. And when they opened the casket, it was full of like wood scraps. So they were hiding what the real reason that the boys were dying. I think actually they were shooting them and setting dogs on them as they ran away. Is one thing, but yeah, it was horrific. So the family connection both drew me to it and repelled me for a while, but now I'm really wrapped up in it. And like I said, this is the fun part. This is where the ghost part is sort of taking to the forefront. I've made my point about how shitty 1950 is. So we can move on to the next parts of the story.
So before we take it to questions to the audience, is there anything that you wanted to add? Is there any...
Okay, well here's the thing. I know this is going to be recorded. This isn't exactly a secret, but for some reason nobody is really announcing it. And I don't really want any formal announcements about it, if you could respect that, but I will tell you, if you keep it to yourself, that one day, recently, like this year on Twitter, Jordan Peele popped up in my direct messages. And he was like, you know, I know you're an expert on Get Out, and I'm going to be publishing a screenplay version of Get Out, and would you write the introduction?
That's awesome.
So I did that, and it's in the catalog, but Monkey Paw hasn't announced it, and the publisher hasn't. I don't know what they're waiting for, but I don't want to be the one, because you know me, if you know me on Twitter, I'm like, ah! But I'm super excited. The minute I can talk about that publicly, I can't wait. But it's coming on the fall. I mean, I really don't know what they're waiting for. But yeah, that's going to be a thing. That's already
That's awesome. That's so great. Okay, well, are there any questions from the audience?
named Jillian Higham. And this is a kid age reading with scary stories to tell in the dark, right? Which is about to be adapted to film. So there's that. There is kid horror out there. My husband and I wrote a series, 2 books called, one called Devil's Weight, one called Domino Falls, which are teen zombie stories that are more about building a family in the wake of the zombie apocalypse than they are about, you know, like a series where you see zombies just kill kind of thing. In terms of literature, though, I don't know that much more about it, but I'm just very confident that if you can find books like that, and I know that I took part in an anthology series. I don't think that's a secret, right? That's come out. The Scary Stories anthology, is that a secret? But that's going to come out. Where we're doing for older readers than the scary, like the original Scary Stories, which is a picture book. So there's some prose stories that are going to come out. So there is the horror out there. On the film side, it's very interesting to me. I've noticed a phenomenon that I think could also work in my favor because I read a lot of child protagonists that you've noticed. And there are movies like It, which are not for kids, but are about kids. Child's Play, which is not for kids, but is about, so there's this trend where like all these like inappropriately young kids are going to see R-rated horror movies. And as long as they don't water the movies down, I'm fine. You know, because I was exposed to horror way too young myself. As long as you're not like a 3-year-old wailing in the theater. You know, sometimes it's not a bad thing for kids to be exposed to horror.
But be prepared for your child to look back at you and tell you how you screwed up. I'm getting that now, yeah.
Could you talk a little bit, I heard there were 2 different endings to that.
If you get the DVD, you can watch them.
Yeah, there were 2.
What's your take on this?
Well, he talked about this in the documentary. I think he made the right choice. Have you seen Get Out? Well, the original ending was Chris was going to go to jail. And test audiences were like, please don't do that, so they changed it. Yeah.
Yes, hey.
There's an anecdote that Steve Barnes refers to both in the Readercon program book and in the introduction to the collection of short stories about how you got a blur from Stephen King.
Oh, yeah.
Would you be willing to share that?
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite things ever. I was a reporter for the Miami Herald. The Miami Herald at the time, it really still is, was home to a bunch of writers. Dave Barry, Kyle Hyson came to the Miami Herald. And the Rock Bottom Remainders were coming to play at the Miami Book Fair. If you don't know, the Rock Bottom Remainders were a rock band comprised of writers. Mitch Albom and Ridley Pearson and Amy Tan, right? And I had heard about this group from a distance. In fairness, I had approached Dave Barry previously asking if he could send a book to Stephen King, and he was like, no. I guess he must have heard that every other day, right? But when I saw Dave Barry in the cafeteria one day, and I play piano and keyboard, so this was all in sincerity. I came up and I said, look, I hear the Rock Bottom Remainders are going to play. I've always wanted to be like in like sort of like spring training camp for them. And he said, well, you know, Mitch Albom's going to be doing vocals for the Elvis number, so do you know Jailhouse Rock? And I did not know Jailhouse Rock, but I was like, yes, I do. And so the next thing I knew, I was in plaid short shorts, pleather, short shorts, because that's how they dressed, and I was playing keyboard with the Rock Bottom Remainders. And I could ask him to became my own damn self. Not to lure me, but what I did was I signed a copy of my book, The Between, to him, and I just offered it to him. I figured I could either get an autograph or I could give him my book. I couldn't do both, so I did not get the autograph. I gave him the book, and then I just wrote a letter to Bangor, Maine. He used to have his address in the Horror Writers Association handbook. I sent it to that address and said, would you be willing to read this? And one day I came home from work and opened my mailbox, and there was a letter from Bangor, Maine. And it was one of those where you could just see it was like 3 lines long. You don't need 3 lines to say F you, but that's what I thought it said. But it was like, Dear Tananarive, if I may. That's what I say when I'm a little fancy. Dear Tananarive, if I may, I really enjoyed The Between, and I would be glad to read My Soul to Keep, best Steve King. And he faxed it to my editor the day it was due. Yeah. It was amazing.
Yes.
Do you have any books or movies you're passionate about, maybe hidden gems you want to pass on?
I've already plugged The Devil in America by Kai Shanti Wilson, which is available online at tour.com. There's a lot of free stuff out there. Sister Before Me, does anyone know this story? Am I saying the title right? Sister Before Me, I cannot remember the writer's name, but it's definitely Malia's. Well, anyway, look for that online. What else? For horror, God, there's so much. Sycorax's Daughters, I know there's some contributors here. That's an anthology of horror and poetry by Black women. But there's so much right now. The People's Future of the United States, if you haven't gotten that one, that Victor LaValle co-edited with John Joseph Adams, is just story after story of amazing. You know, when you're in an anthology, you hope that your story is going to be one of the ones that the reviewers bring out. And then as I'm reading this, I'm like, no, it's not going to be mine, for sure. Every story is like better than the last story. There's just like some incredible visionary writing in there, confronting the politics of our times.
I actually think we're at time, so thank you very much, Tananarive.
All sorts of awesome